Be present in over 100 experiences covering 20 genres. Virtual Presence Productions.
Hi. Welcome to our Virtual Presence Podcast. I'm with some top secret men in black here, and I'm not going to be able to introduce you to them or what they do or what their name is, but I am going to be watching something here. And shit, that is a tiny... That's a tiny one. Okay. You're like, how big is your head? I'm like, apparently it's a little too big. So, all right. Oh, there it goes. See, it just came off. Oh dear.
You know, words of
there we go. Okay. Optical inserts removed.
All right, so let me interject here. What I'm about to watch is proprietary, I guess. Even me reacting to it, they don't really want to have out of the bag, I guess. They told me all this literally 10 seconds before I was to do the podcast, so I'm in a weird situation because I got to release this. I have news I got to get out. I think these two gentlemen will be very important in the VR landscape here in a couple weeks, but right now this becomes really annoying to watch, and I completely apologize for that. And also I forgot to say one piece of news. The whole Pete Carroll stuff is kind of pushed to January. Otherwise, watch me try to fumble around not saying anything about what I saw. Maybe you guys can read between the lines and figure it out. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Talk to you guys next year.
So we're in a very weird situation. I called these guys in to obviously in my podcast. I talk about what's happening with the company. I have a couple pieces of news to throw out here from the last podcast, but I want to have them on because they are doing something awesome. Can't tell you what it is, but they are obviously in the VR realm. I will let them say what it is that they're doing because they know what they can and can't say. I will just say right now we are Adam and the Andrews, and to catch them up, when I last left these viewers, I was about to have a meeting with the LA Clippers on some stuff I shot for them at the Intuitome, as well as I just got the news that I was going to New York to pitch to the decision makers at FanDuel Sports Network. Okay. What I've been trying to tell them is, you have all these channels already. The cost is pretty equivalent to regular, at least what we're doing.
Right.
You should be weekly shooting stuff and daily on these things, throwing it on your YouTube channel while you're also developing your app to make it a VR app. And then you could have people that already subscribe to your network get this extra content, and it would easily pay for itself. Even a sponsorship would pay for what my budgets were. They were not much. So that's the route we've been going. That's what I've been doing all year by shooting all this stuff and trying to get to the right people to say yes or no. So I had the meeting with the Clippers a couple days ago and hoping to get it to Ballmer, obviously, right? And I didn't get it to Ballmer. I showed it to 2 or 3 people, what we shot. They loved it. They were wowed. They thought it was amazing. But it does require a bit of vision to understand that if you want to be future leaning, that's the problem we have with the Lakers, is the Lakers don't have to do anything. They're the Lakers. They're royalty, right? I shot Media Day. I shot all that LeBron footage. Did you guys get to see the LeBron footage?
I did. That's great. Yeah.
Him walking right up to the camera, and that's just like this magic moment of feeling present. Lakers loved it. And they said, here's the door. Like, they loved it, but they don't see it. There's no reason for them to invest in anything because everybody already loves the Lakers. So the Clippers, on the other hand, we want to beat the Lakers. We want to be advanced. They got the whole face scanning thing when you walk into it, right? And I'm like, okay, so these guys get it. But you got to get it to the right people. And the other problem I'm finding is when you find that one person, they have to then describe it to their boss to get a meeting. Well, guess what you can't fucking do?
That's right.
You have to be, and I have so many texts with people, no, I can't send you a link. No, this isn't a Zoom meeting. I'll fly to you. I'll drive to you. I'll do anything you need me to do, but I have to put you in the headset. Yeah. Now, if you have a headset, that's great. I can talk right through it, but so that has been what I've been running into. So the Clippers thing is kind of just there. Some people saw it. Somebody with free agencies, people who deal with free agents, was like, we should shoot something as a lifestyle thing to like attract free agents. And I'm like, yeah, that's one shoot, whatever. I think this content should just be available, right? I think the fans want it. And I've been killing myself for 2 years now trying to secure any of this stuff. And then yesterday I just found out that meeting on January 8th in New York with the FanDuel people, they fired the person who set that up.
Oh, great. That's great to hear. That's great news. Yeah.
And my other guy, FanDuel, said, I know why you're not hearing back from her. I was like, oh, man, what happened? She's like, yeah, she's not with the company. I'm like, are you the meeting's in 2, what? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm so sorry, man. I don't know what to tell you. So that's all on indefinite hold. My other guy says, I know a way we can get around that, and so on and so forth. It'll just get delayed. So hopefully all of this work I've done to try to show them won't be all for naught. But the truth of the matter is, it's going to be hard to get a regional sports network to put any money up. You know, even if I can bring a sponsor on that would double the budget, right? They're still kind of like, that's why ideally you work specifically with the leagues, because the leagues have a little more foresight into that kind of stuff. Problem, of course, is it's really hard to get a hold of the leagues when Apple's literally getting to all of them. So I'm this little guy in a big pond, and all I have are the reels I did, which I'm super proud of. I think they're really impressive. But if you can't get the right people to see them, but you know what? I got you guys to see them. Maybe that means something. I just realized I didn't turn that. Is that little green light on? It isn't. That's all right. I got this right here, man. We're good. So unfortunately, that's all the news. Every single thing I got kind of Hansen. Oh, you guys don't know what happened with Hansen. How about this for getting fucked? Sorry. You're not saying anything. They're just watching me burn all my own bridges. So I fly out to New York because
hold on. You said Hansen?
Yeah, Mbop.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Please continue. Yeah. Okay.
And I don't want. I'll explain this a little better. I explained this in the last podcast. I met a guy who wrote for Modern Drummer magazine, and he was going to Ringo's birthday party, and I met him right after that, and I showed it to him, and he's like, "Oh my God, we got to get this to Ringo." I'm like, "Yes." Like, people need to capture these people before they pass on. These are like legends, right? So he's like, well, I know a bunch of drummers. We'll figure something out. He's like, Zack Hansen is in town in New York, and he's a big tech guy, and he's willing to meet with you. And, you know, he'll probably let you do something with the show and so forth. And so I flew out, and this is when I had my back injury. When I couldn't walk. What a great city to be in when you can't walk. Oh my God, that was crazy. So I flew out and showed it to him, loved it. I shot like their sound check and then a few things from the side, and I basically put a trailer together for them. And they were coming out to LA the following month. I was just going to show it to them and go from there. And I did all the work, whatever, and then when they came to LA, they didn't want to see it. I was like, we're 5 minutes away. I'll bring it to you. Just, do you want to see what I shot? Nope. And that was it. So I did all that work, shot it all, and they didn't even want to look at it. Now, it was only the brother. I didn't show the other two guys. They all seemed super nice. Like the video, I have video of them like talking to the camera, and everybody's having a great time. For whatever reason, they didn't want to see the finished product. I kept saying, this is free. Completely free. I don't want any money. I want to give this to you. Free. Because I just need somebody of note to release something that I've shot. And that's the problem. All these cool things that I've shot, I can't release them. I can't show anybody. It's like, nobody cares about my silly vlogs about my kids. Like, I want like a company to release something professional, right? And I'm willing to literally do it for free to just at least show what's possible. So that's where I am today. Happy New Year, hallelujah. Where's the eggnog?
This is the last one of the year, right?
This is the last one, obviously.
So, what are you looking forward to for next year?
Nothing.
Predictions for 2025. Predictions. What do we got? What's the next year going to bring? Vision Pro. We started this year without a Vision Pro. The landscape is obviously
the Google
changed a bit.
headset's cool. Yeah. Like, I'm going to see what that is about. I'm just going to keep pushing. I'm not going to give up, obviously. I believe in the format. I've done everything I possibly can to make this format, more and more accessible, and try to show other people the right way to move the camera or where to put it. Or I just want, I mean, I'm crazy. I release 65 of these a year, man. I've been nuts trying to get this going. I'm hoping one of these sports leagues or the teams want to do something so I can at least, I don't have income for my S Corp that I had to set up for the NFL, that I don't have any reason to be an S Corp, but now I had to be an S Corp just for the NFL. And
That's interesting.
yeah, it was fucking bullshit, and that was expensive, and then I didn't make any money.
Yeah.
So now what?
That's more costly to have an S Corp.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I'm in a very weird stage. And then I meet you fellas, and love to talk about what you're doing. Why don't you introduce that, Andrew? What can you say about
we have been tinkering for.
The reason I'm laughing.
I hate that word.
The reason I'm laughing is because before I turn this camera on, they let some shit drop, like awesome, cool stuff that I know they want to talk about, but they need to wait for like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, at least a couple months, right? And so they said, well, we can't talk about any of this. I'm like, well, tough shit. I got to do this fucking podcast because it's almost the end of the month. And so they need to be like neutered versions of themselves. So I'm enjoying watching Andrew here try to describe this without letting anything out of the bag. So go right ahead.
We've been developing some stuff on the creative and technological side that we think people in the industry are going to be struck by.
Right.
And we've gotten some initial private reactions that are very promising, and we're going to be sharing it with the public very soon.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know if you have anything that you'd like to add, Andrew, but yeah. So we're hoping to, basically, I think the hesitation here is that we're hoping to like get all of this out around the holiday season, because as a lot of us know, that's one of the best like viewership times of the year. I know. So we're like kind of under the gun, and like we've done, well.
Oh, you're trying to get it literally released.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, trying. We'll see when this airs, and like we'll see what, the.
Oh, so you're saying like what I just saw the trailer of, that could actually be released
in a week.
Oh, got it.
Content.
But only on the Apple Vision Pro.
Oh, only on the Apple Vision Pro. That's correct. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So we're down to the wire, and we're working around the clock. But when we do come out in short order and we make sort of the formal announcement, we're really excited to talk with you again and like get out there. And I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of questions. We're just trying to we're trying to build a system and relationships to like just really make better immersive content.
Yes.
Is really what it comes down to.
Now, my question is, you worked with a studio on the first video I saw. Why did they want to go with the Apple Vision Pro over the more numbers on MetaQuest?
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I can speak to that.
Yeah. Obviously, it looks better, without a doubt. But you can still make stuff look good on the Quest, too. So that's all. I was just curious.
They're very particular about quality, and Apple Vision Pro is by far the best quality.
Right.
So they're not a huge fan of the Quest. Let's just put it that way.
Is it because of the people running the Quest? Or, I'm assuming that's it. It's not just the piece of tech.
I think when you have something, the quality, let's say, of as one component, the image on the Vision Pro does, when it's done captured properly and post-processed properly, there's a higher sense of realism.
Right.
And so I think that was, the highest sense of realism was desired. And then on top of that, the audio quality. So the individual that we work with that produced that content has a strong music and audio passion and affiliation with professionally and so forth. So that was a big component for them, was the audio factor as well.
All right. So to get technical or critical or have something to talk about, static versus motion. So what I saw was all static shots. They're gorgeous shots. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. But I can tell you that I don't care.
Love moving the camera, by the way. So I'm a fan of moving the camera.
Well, maybe it's me, but I like that opening shot of the first video I saw. I would like to see more. I would not be able to sit through that for 5 minutes. I would be like, that's how my brain works, because I want a story. The music is good, but I'd like to get a little bit closer, come back a little bit, maybe have another shot on the bass player, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that's if I feel like, oh, this is a static presentation, then I'm kind of gone. That's just it's. I've talked about this with X Stadium, right? Like, no matter how good it looks, and it doesn't look great, but it looks okay. The fact that I know the camera's never moving, I get bored. I'm just like, I don't want to watch this. I want to feel like it's breathing.
Right.
Like, even my shots where I'm in one place, there's enough tiny movement that makes me feel like I'm standing there watching Kyrie Irving warm up, right? Because there's just enough breathable movement, a little bit closer, you know what I mean, that I'm like, oh man, I'm really standing on here. It's really cool.
Right.
The second it's locked down, my brain just flies away. Is that a me thing?
It was certainly a preference, I would say.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of immersive virtual reality content out there that leans far too much on static shots, and it is boring. But I think when there's motion, it should be, of course, meaningful. And I think what you're ultimately trying to do is create a sort of realistic or hyper-real or surreal environment for people. It's more interesting in a sense. So to make it more interesting, camera movement is one tool in the toolbox.
Right.
Lighting, sound design, spatial sound design, environment proximity, sense of scale,
Right.
camera position. There's a lot of things that you can do to draw folks' attention and into certain areas and to give them a certain feel about a certain scene.
Right.
And so in terms of just making shots and moments and immersive content and experiences and stories more interesting, I think moving shots is absolutely one way to do that and is important. I don't think it's the only way, and I do think that there is a place for some static shots.
Right.
So, I mean, right now, in VR, this is a static shot,
Right.
right? And right here, it's intimate with us, so
Sure.
you're literally a static shot, and if you're still watching.
Now-
So there is a case
right.
to be made for that,
Right. So for this, the way I look at it is this is being present in a conversation that has no edits, meaning the whole concept of it is it would be static, right? You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for that to be moving. But for example, in the sports thing that I saw, if those were the shots, I would think it's awesome once. I wouldn't tune in every day to keep seeing
Sure.
those shots. I'd want to feel like I got to shoot Columbus Clippers, the Cleveland Guardians team, and there's 2 videos, they're like 20 minutes of videos, and like we're in the dugout and we're walking around, we're talking to people and watching them warm up or whatever, and or just with the grounds crew right behind their back as they're doing it and that kind of stuff. That to me was attractive because and of course I'd love it to have the clarity of that shot. Now I'm assuming the post-processing gets a little more difficult once it moves. Am I correct on that?
It does.
Yeah.
Like,
It's more so comfort, I think.
right?
We're being a little bit more risk adverse as we start off.
Yeah.
Because comfort is the number one
Right.
thing you need to worry
Right.
about VR180. As soon as you make someone nauseous
Yep.
or sick, they're taking off the headset.
Right.
So static shots are one way to guarantee that the people that we show, at least initially,
Right.
are 100% comfortable.
And that is the problem with sports. It's live. You only got one shot, so you better not screw it up. But I mean, that's kind of what I feel like I proved with when I got press passes to the hockey and the NBA or whatever, is that I was able to make like 7 or 8 pieces of content that stood alone, and you're moving. And I gave it to the biggest motion sick woman on the planet, my wife, and she's like, okay, that didn't make me sick. It's like, okay, whew. So
I mean, the sort of from what I've seen, the sort of motions that you're doing, I think are more calculated than what most people try. I mean, you've experimented quite a bit, and like
and
some of
found
it's like I think
I think
a lot of what you're doing works well.
Right. I think what he said off camera was, I believe he said it was the greatest camera work he'd ever seen anybody do with sports. I maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I feel like you said.
This is your podcast, right? Okay.
So maybe I have a job later, even if my company can't produce anything. But yeah, so that's my year. And you said you did 360 stuff too back in the day?
Yeah, I've been doing this since 2012. Yeah.
Good Lord.
But it's been a journey, and I mean, I this year has been super exciting because there's been ups and downs of call it VR, XR, immersive. I mean, terminology is a whole big issue here, but I call it immersive media now. as like the capture. I don't even think XR. Most normal people that were trying to get into headsets have no idea what XR is.
You just have to say VR.
Or there you have
You
it.
just have to.
Just say any word.
Yeah. I mean, when I shot the sports guys, I put a big VR at the bottom, right? Because I'm not allowed to talk to them, but they can talk to me.
Oh.
Right. Okay. So with that VR, what was really nice was that they talked to me. They were like, "Oh my God, is that VR? Are those guys? Hey, what's up, everybody?" Like, and then they started talking, and then they were interacting, and that's how I got all that amazing Rams footage. Me and Cooper Kupp started talking, and then he went back in the locker room, told everybody, and then they set up that shot for me, my opening shot in the reel where I'm behind everybody, and right behind Stafford, which was really scary. 5-yard step backs. 5 yards is a lot longer than my brain thought. I was standing right, like he was right there. I'm like. And then he yelled hike, and I was like, oh! And I had to go back, and I had no idea that was going to happen. But to me, that's the point. I couldn't have been a static shot on the field. Like, couldn't have been. I had to do that.
You can get us a spider cam, right? So we can... Let's do that.
Yeah, let's just use the spider. I know, they brought that thing...
That would be great.
They brought that thing down, although I think the movement of the spider cam would be... That would make people sick.
You have to get. I mean, some of the stuff I've seen with NFL, they get the spider cam real low now.
They do.
It's like a third person.
It's neat. It's really,
if they're doing that with that probably, I would assume that weighs less than what our systems would be.
That thing is
there's got to be a way to do that.
Oh yeah, put it underneath it. Yeah. Yeah, believe me, they brought the whole thing down and they were fixing something, and I went over with this camera. Like, okay. I wanted to see every single thing that was on it, and thing's huge, like the size of a goddamn car. I couldn't believe how big it was, right? It's like have you ever seen them take traffic lights down, and you're like, they're as tall as you. They're as tall as you are. Let's see.
Sense of scale.
Yeah, sense of scale.
In VR.
It's very important in VR. All right, well, since these guys can't talk about anything, and I want them to talk about it.
We're gonna talk about it soon. We're gonna be back, and we're gonna talk with you about it, and...
what opportunities would I have with my incredible filmmaking skill to work with you fellas?
Well, we have that same question for you. It's all about the community. But let's one of the big things that we're doing is sports, and you're doing the best and greatest sports footage I've ever seen.
Yes.
I've ever seen.
Well,
so that's why we're here.
Yeah. No. It is funny. Like through all this, like I went to New Zealand and shot sports stuff, and I was like, man, I've got one hell of a sports reel. Goodness, that has to apply somewhere, right? And it's just gumption on my part. Like I was like, I'm gonna find a way. The first day, Bronny and Bron suit up, that I get to be there, and I did it. I don't know how I did it. Somehow I was there and shot it, and it was amazing. And nobody gets to see it.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean nobody gets to see it? I'm trying to get it to him. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he'd like to have some footage of the hallway when he turns back and says, "Have fun." Like, that's a moment between a dad and his son, and I got a son, and I was just like, oh, this is amazing. I can't wait for him to see it. He's never going to see it because there's no way to, like, knock on his door. So, yeah, that has been the bane of my existence, is that everything I shoot, nobody can see. And it's extremely difficult for a guy who documents his whole life and shares it.
I can relate to that over the years. You know, you work on some big project, and
it never gets seen.
And you know, there's at least... maybe a couple thousand people that like were amazed by it, and that's all it ever was.
Couple thousand?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's...
I mean, it's
4 people have seen the LeBron thing, and you're 2 of them.
Hey, you don't have to yell at me. You don't have to yell at me.
Couple thousand? Yeah, no, it's not that. I mean, it's just... Again, we're in these weird situations where you have to get to the decision makers, and the decision makers for something this big, which is a complete reworking of your media ideals, right? It's not like anybody on their staff can just do this, and I think some of them think that. You know what I mean?
Yes, of course.
And like, part of me thinks the Clippers guys are like, "This is great, wasn't this great? Wasn't this great?" And then they're going to go tell their media team, "Hey, this is what we're going to do."
Oh yeah.
And then the media team's going to be like, "I don't know how the fuck to do that." And if they buy that camera, it's like, that's step 1 of 25.
Yeah.
It gets way harder afterwards.
That's been I would say that's been an issue in the medium over the years. You know, people
just assume.
Yeah, and that happens. That's been and I think one of the unfortunate parts about that is they assume they get interested. They dive in, not fully prepared, but then they try it like once and then discard it quickly because it doesn't go as they thought it would.
Right.
It's sort of like unknown unknowns, right? They don't know that they don't know how to do it.
Well,
and so then it's a turn off when they have a negative experience.
Well,
so.
and then the other thing that's hard to explain is that a sports photographer thinks they can do this, but I'm like, actually, you need to be a DP. Everything's manual. It's manual focus, exposure, ISO. Like,
I mean, I there's been other like even something like, oh, you're shooting at a hyperfocal. Like, it's surprising how many. I'll just say camera. A lot of people know what that is. It's a very simple concept, but like a lot of people don't. Like some basic things like that. It's just like these are fundamental principles. But
well, but, and I feel bad. I know somebody who got this whole setup, but didn't have a particularly powerful computer or any knowledge with cameras. He was just used to having camcorders, and I was like, oh my god, dude! Like, here's some Hugh Ho videos. Good luck. And by the way, have you met Hugh?
Yeah. We
partnered with him on.
Oh, cool.
Something.
Yeah, no, I've FaceTimed with him a few times. He's extremely helpful. He made it very clear what was cool with my conversation. He's like, Adam, I'm an influencer. I'm not, because I was kind of worried, like, okay, shoot, is he gonna take these? He's like, Adam, I'm an influencer, dude. I'm just teaching people how to use these cameras, getting to go all over the world, shooting all this fun stuff. I'm fine. I'm not seeking out contracts like you are. Or honestly, like you guys are. You guys kind of are doing what I was doing, which is like, hey, I can produce this and trying to. How did you get those meetings, dude? My God, like you don't have to tell me who the meetings were, but they were obviously pretty high level. Like, was it?
Just been doing it a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go. I guess 2.5 years isn't long enough. Okay, guess I keep working. All right. Do you want to say anything? Clearly, we're the it was funny because I just invited him, and he's like, "I'm gonna have my co-founder come with me," and I'm like, "I bet you that's the talker of the group." Something tells me.
I'm just here to talk, nothing else.
Right.
But have an opinion.
I have to imagine in the meetings you tend to run. You're the talker.
We both sort of tee it up to each other, but yeah. I would say Andrew tends to talk more on. I mean, I'm not going to put like hard lines on it because we both cross over. We're both very creatively passionate about the medium and have like the same convictions about like improving standards, where things need to go. But for the purposes of like a podcast or in like a meeting with a potential client or some other brand or that sort of thing, I'm generally talking more on creative and production, and he's talking more technical.
Got it.
And we're obviously not really diving too much into the technical right now.
Right. What's your background before all this VR stuff?
I did. So this somewhat maybe answers your question just before this about like how did you get these? So I used to produce Super Bowl commercials, and I was in sort of the commercial production industry.
Okay.
And also ran my own production company, and then started directing and shooting and working with other big brands that way. So sort of via advertising, marketing, and commercial production, like big scale commercial production. That's how I cut my teeth in, I'll just say, the broader filmmaking landscape. I wasn't like shooting movies, but that's how I learned production and got basically in front of brands from essentially right out of college. So
wow.
And then when VR came around, I was doing well in that and sort of like burning myself out. And when VR came around in 2012, I went all in on that, and I was like, this is exactly what I wanted to do, and been doing it ever since.
And your background is all technical?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Formerly at Oculus, tech lead on the developer platform and video streaming side, so a lot of experience sort of in this
When
area.
did you leave Oculus?
About 2 months ago.
Oh my goodness.
So we made a lot of progress since then.
You, since 2 months ago?
Yeah.
Oh,
Most
wow.
of what you've seen has been about 2 months of work.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why we're not ready yet. This is super new. This is like super new.
Yeah, we'll have a lot to share pretty soon, but we think that the tools and other services that we're going to offer very soon and announce very soon are going to change the industry.
Yeah, and everything that we're doing will marry with things that you see in other ways in the industry that are happening right now. Let's just put it that way. Like, we are going to marry with them nicely, or augment or enhance what's happening. So these are not mutually exclusive things.
from what you described off camera, yes.
Synergy.
That does make sense. Well, goodness. I guess now my biggest hope for 2025 is to have you guys back on here so you can talk about what the hell you're doing.
If that's the biggest, so you can do better than that. You can do better than that.
Listen, I've always had I work as literally hard as I possibly can until I fall over every day, right? It's not every card I'm dealt, I just keep going. And I've done that my whole life. And that's why everything's ever happened. I don't necessarily say by this year I'm going to have, because I don't know, right? I can just knock down as many doors as I can. And when things blow up in my face, it's like, okay, I pick up the pieces, look at this, try to figure that out, and basically go from there, right? And, you know, the only reason you guys know about me is because I did release a bit of portions of my reels, right? And it's kind of like, give me a cease and desist. Like, at least that would be something I could put in a press release, right? Like, goodness, at some point, I just have to, you know, I can't keep sitting on this stuff. So, yeah, thank God I did that. And here's to having something I can actually release in 2025. It's such a low bar, but, like, I just want some of these companies to care about this format.
Yeah.
And it can't just be on the Apple Vision Pro because there's just not enough users.
Right.
You know? I mean, and Meta, my God, damn it, Meta. Like, why are they dropping the ball on this? Why are they only pushing video games and the metaverse? Like, this had to make you crazy at Meta. That you do all this work, but Meta TV, I can't find anything. It's mixed. There's a big mixture of distorted 360 that look like there's no uniform UI to find content.
Yeah.
I mean,
I do have to say that I mean, what was it? All boats rise with the tide. What's the phrase?
Rising tide.
There you
lifts
go.
all boats,
Yeah, rising tide lifts all. So I think that, like, even the new the Google Samsung headset. I think, like, there's. I was saying earlier this year, you know, it's 2024 right now. It sort of feels like 2014 VR, where, like, it was sort of building towards, like, this sort of, like, peak around 2016.
Yeah,
everyone talks about 2016. I feel like 2024 is like the 2014. So I'm really excited about the next couple of years because, like, there's this big resurgence. The UI of the Vision Pro, you talk about, like, you don't know what to navigate on the Quest or what you like. They've done such an excellent job.
Right.
I mean, credit to Apple. I mean, I think they've cracked the nut on. It's just an early version, very simple version. There's other features that I suspect will eventually come. It's not a complete state, but what they have, and when you put on the headset, you're not removed from your environment. You still feel like you're in your environment, and it's an augmented layer, and that's the first interaction when you as you sort of can go into it. That's the way to do it, and you already see like Meta adopting similar elements, and it looks like from the early Google stuff that's the same too.
Yeah, you saw what I did in my video where you're sitting in a Starbucks, everything's floating in front of you, you're going through stuff. I did that in February of 23. I just kind of guessing, and it ended up being basically what the Apple Vision Pro was. I'm like, that's the way it's going to be, and you'll see a flat video if you want, and then you can choose. Okay, I'll be immersive right now. And then just takes over, check it out for a little bit, go back. That's when this starts rolling. I just want to get something in stone before that happens because I know people with money are going to roll right the fuck over me. So, so I'm just pushing as much as I can. But meeting people like you is helpful. At least we have the same shared. We were texting about people asking, "Hey, can you just link me to that?" "Hey, can we have a Zoom meeting?" It's like, oh my God, like those problems. I don't know how you got as far as you got to get some of those face-to-face meetings. It's so hard to get face-to-face meetings post-COVID. Oh my God.
Incredible on the business side.
Yeah. All right. Andrew is?
Yeah. Well,
Andrew.
This
yeah.
One, okay. That's very nice of you to say.
All right.
Time will tell for all of us.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, we'll see where we are in a couple months. All right. Well, Happy New Year, guys. Awesome to meet you. I can't wait to turn off this camera so I can actually talk to you.
Yeah,
and I will talk to you guys, oh my God, next month. Cheers. All right. Good Lord. That's so funny. That was an impossible thing.
Oh, and there's a lot more of these. Please check out my other VRLOGs and subscribe and comment. It means the world to me.